Welcome back to another episode of Need More Coffee, Please with Cisco and Melissa.
I'm Cisco.
And I'm Melissa. Thank you so much for being here and joining us today. If you could hit like or subscribe, that would be a huge thing for us. It's really, really helpful. So please do that now.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks again for being with us. We want to talk today about walking in your purpose and in God's purpose for you. Last week, we talked about finding your purpose and, kind of figuring out what that is and what God has really called you to do and wants you to do. And that's a huge first step. I feel like it took us a while to get to that point, especially during this season in our lives. And so if you're able to get past that first step, if the Lord feel like the Lord is really showing you, then we want to talk about and help you and encourage you in walking in His purpose.
Yeah. And if you stick around at the end, we're going to kind of discuss something that we are feeling might be a good thing to open up to others. And we would love to have you hear about that and see if it's something you want to join with us on. So stick around.
Stay tuned. Everybody has their seasons in life. We definitely have. We are in a completely different season than
we've ever been.
Yeah, we've ever been. We ever thought was possible. We ever thought we were gonna be here. Yeah. At one point we, especially her, she didn't even think I was gonna be here for it. And so it is definitely completely different, and it really did take us about a year, a little bit less maybe, to really figure out what we should be doing.
But realistically, I think too, I think maybe it was only a few months of really seeking the Lord.
Yeah, that's true.
I think when you really get serious about, when you get serious, He gets serious too. I'm like, okay, you ready? Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. And like we said last week, when you really ask God, okay, God, what do you want me to do? Willing to do anything. He can put you into uncomfortable situations and in things that you normally wouldn't think is your thing, just like we're doing now. This isn't necessarily our thing or what we really thought we would be doing. This isn't a kind of classic definition of a ministry or what people would think of as a ministry or as God's purpose or calling in your life, but we really believe that this is what God wants us to do. And there's definitely been some pitfalls, some discouraging moments, some difficult moments, just because it is your calling, just because it is something that God wants you to do, does not mean that it's gonna be an overnight success. It's
or easy,
super easy,
or everyone's gonna be like, yes, this is amazing.
Or you're gonna get 2,000 subscribers overnight. Those things, that'd be awesome. But I think,
it's just not reality.
It's just not reality. And it's good. We don't, if to be an overnight success in ministry or in YouTube or anything, it raises red flags. And we're not ready. We're not ready for that kind of audience or success or responsibility. God knows that, and He knows that we need time. He knows that we need training and teaching, and we need to really be molded and shaped and to be ready for that
Mhm.
eventuality if it does happen. Like, we're not saying that
But
it's
that's, like, such a good, um, point on, because I think for a lot of people, they get hung up about, like, I'm not gonna get anywhere with doing a YouTube channel or like, you think you have to have that be set up for that success right
Mhm,
away, and
mhm,
that's like, you gotta take the steps, and you've gotta walk through those days of small things
mhm,
and,
mhm,
like, learn so much before, you could be quote unquote successful. And, we may never be like,
mhm,
that's not what our goal or aim is. Of course, we, would love for it to bring some kind of income at some point, but and that is the goal, but it's not like, well, that's gonna
I'm not
take a lot
trying
of
to
steps
be
to get
rich and
there.
famous. Yeah.
Yeah, and, yeah, and, that should never be a reason to not do something. In fact, that should be the reason to do something,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
Anyway,
for
that just
sure. No, that's
popped in my
okay.
head.
Yeah, when it's easy to look at the difficulty and at the drudgery and at the discouraging times, as, oh well, maybe this is not what God wants me to do, or not what God is called us to do. And there were times, even in the past couple weeks, where, like, did God really want us to do that though? Like, because this doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
This is really,
This is going real slow.
yeah, it's going really slow. This is being really,
Mhm,
this is difficult. Like, we're not really seeing a lot of fruit from
mhm,
it, and it just doesn't seem, again, because it is unconventional,
yeah,
because it is different. I think it's even more, it could be even more discouraging, and those little signs and those little things that happen can be even more hurtful,
mhm,
and make you want to quit even more. Maybe it might be different, let's say, if we started a church, or if
mhm.
we were more in conventional ministry, maybe those things wouldn't be as much of a hindrance. But
But I think even, anything you start from the ground up is it's gonna be hard.
mhm,
I mean, for a majority of people, like, there are the ones who seem to just have that golden shining star
mhm,
beaming down on their heads, and, but I think for most of us, that's just not how it is.
yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's reality,
mhm,
and yeah, and there's gonna, like he was saying, we have received like quite a bit of pushback, not only from circumstances or people, but I mean, not a ton from people. There's really only been less than a handful of individuals like who have actually like physically said
mhm.
something. Um, but you can always kind of sense the like raised eyebrows or
Right, yeah,
the,
right.
the
They don't
like,
even have to say anything.
oh,
They might
yeah,
just give you like a look, like, okay,
okay.
sure.
You go.
Yeah.
And that, and that's fine. Like, I almost, it like really, I chuckle because I totally get it. Like, I would have that same reaction. And honestly, half the time I am having that reaction myself. Just like, seriously, this is what we're doing. But whatever it is. And I mean, as much as we get like, what? We're
Mhm,
also extremely confident,
mhm,
because the Lord has really confirmed it in so many
mhm,
ways. And I mean, especially like in the beginning when it was really hard and we're like, are you sure? Like, is this what we're really supposed to be doing? Like, boom, he would confirm it like through a person, like a conversation, or even like on social media. Like, it was crazy. So I think we're at the point where we're pretty confident in it, but we still also do feel, the stuff
Yeah,
coming at you.
for sure. We're not above discouragement
Right, yeah,
or,
exactly.
you know, being hindered a little bit or being scared or
Mhm,
questioning like what God is doing. Because things happen, people say stuff, people look at you funny,
mhm.
and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, hold on a second. Maybe this ain't it, So, I know that there might be some people in the same boat, and we do want to just encourage you, like, if you are confident and you know that this is what the Lord has called you to, regardless of whether it's being being a pastor, starting a YouTube channel, doing something, that's a little bit different or unconventional or just doesn't fit the list of different ministries that you feel like God has written out, which he hasn't,
Mhm.
there's no such thing. That's a beautiful thing, is that ministry can mean so many different things.
Yeah.
um that there's not a set list of it. You don't have to wear a suit and tie and be part of a church, and be on salary in order for it to be a real ministry. There's
So many avenues
so many
now.
avenues, so many things you can do.
And in this space, like, it's so needed, on social media and YouTube, like, there's so much negativity that's out there and that is constantly being put out there. Um, I don't know, like, I just feel like it's has such a huge reach for people, and people are really searching for truth and the Lord and, like, spirituality, and they're unfortunately going to a lot of really bad
Mm,
sources,
mm,
and, like, if, you're a Christian, like, we as Christians, we should be, like, taking ground in this space,
mm,
and so, I don't know, that's kind of like our little, like, passionate pull for this kind of thing because I think it is needed, very much, and it has just such a wider reach than you can, even get in your own hometown, which is also very much needed. But yeah, I think
mhm.
for a lot of Christians, like, they kind of tend to shy away, especially from YouTube, but it's like, no, that's where we need to be, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Um
no, no,
Mhm.
absolutely. And I know for me, there have been people that we have known that have stepped out and done social media things or podcasts, and or YouTube channels. And it's funny because you know them, you would think that you would gravitate towards them and support them and encourage them and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But I know for me, in my sinful and dumb personality, like, I'm like, oh, look at this guy. He started a YouTube channel, or he's posted on social media. Who does he think he is? Um,
No, don't do
sorry,
that.
the stupid cat. You know, who does he think he is? Oh, he thinks he's so much better, or she thinks, and now that on the other, we're on the other side of this, I realize what it takes to get to that point.
Mhm.
Really putting yourself out there, um, making yourself vulnerable, and putting yourself under the scrutiny of other people, and a lot of other people may be thinking the stupid things that I was
Oh,
thinking,
but yeah,
and
we know they
they
are.
may not
Yeah.
be saying that out loud, thank
Mhm.
God. Like, most people just keep their mouth shut, but they speak by not liking or
Mhm.
just scrolling past it real quick,
Yeah.
or
They're like, "Oh my gosh,
yeah,
another
yeah, you're just cringing
another
or
video."
whatever, and man, I'm so I have been so guilty of that, and I'm really trying to be better when I see friends or people I know. They're really trying hard,
Mhm.
and they're really doing what.
And I mean, it's such a different thing now. I mean, at least for me, like now when I see someone who's doing something like that, I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
you go. Like,
yeah, good for them, man. They're
yeah,
really
good
putting
for you.
themselves out there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's totally different. We have a totally
Yeah.
different perspective
Mhm.
and mindset
And respect for,
uh, on those
people doing
things.
this kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so back to uh, purpose. One of the things that I wanted to, or that we wanted to, talk about was just there's different seasons in your life and what you're going to be doing and what your purpose is, what your calling is. We have gone through so many different seasons in our lives. And the thing is, when you're, you know, like your purpose could be raising your kids, it can be working your
Working a
job,
9 to 5. Yeah.
um, like anything that you're doing right now is probably essentially your purpose, um, and it feels like that season is going to last forever. And we can definitely say, like, we have been through so many different seasons in our lives, and the things that we thought were going to last forever, the hard seasons, the good seasons, they don't. Like,
Mhm.
it's constantly changing. And I really do want to encourage you, like, if you are in a season right now where your purpose is doing something that you're not loving, or you're really having a hard time finding purpose in it, um I really encourage you to pray about that and to ask the Lord to give you purpose in what you're doing, because that is not going to last. um your kids are going to get older, your job may not, it could change tomorrow, which we
Mhm.
have a funny story about.
Yeah,
We'll get to in a minute, but
yeah, and yeah, something being mundane, and boring and seemingly ordinary, does not mean that you do not have a purpose in that.
Mhm,
Just because you're in this job and you're just kind of trudging along, um, does not mean that you can't be a witness and a light and an example to the people you work with. Does not mean that, when you clock out and you go home, you can't be, a blessing to
mhm,
your wife and to your family and to your kids. God has called you to a purpose and to a season, and that season might change in the sense that, you have the same job, but then now you're married, and then now you have kids, and that season at home it changes, even though your job pretty much remains the same, or your job could change. You can get a promotion
mhm,
or a demotion, or you
mhm,
can lose your job, or you can change jobs. So things can and will change. That's just life. It's going to change. Um, like for example,
oh my
really,
goodness.
dude.
Sorry,
uh,
he's crazy cat.
yeah. Like for example, this a couple weeks ago, I've been on disability at my job for over a year now. It's been my stroke, and it's been a blessing to be on disability. I've never, I never had a job where that was a thing. I've always had these jobs where something like that happened to me, like, oh, well, that sucks, dude. Well, give us a call when you can work again or whatever. So I'm really thankful for the disability for that season. So I was technically still an employee of Schwab, and just recently got an email and a letter in the mail saying that they're gonna terminate my employment. Um, so at first we were a little bit not freaking out, but we were a little bit worried. But thankfully we found out that the disability will continue, even though it's not a lot,
Mhm.
um, at all, but it has been helping us a little bit. The disability will continue through a third party, so we don't have to freak out about
Yes,
it
as much
as
as we thought.
much as we were or we thought we were going to have
Mhm.
to. So we knew that was going to come to a close, and that was going to change. That we're going to keep me on disability forever, um, or keep me employed forever, because I don't know if and when I'll be able to ever come back
Mhm.
to that and be sitting in front of a computer all day. I don't know if I want to be honest. So
But the
that,
ability isn't there. I mean, which
yeah,
is
the
the
ability, even
yeah.
if I wanted to,
Mhm.
the ability is just not there at this point. And maybe God will heal me and my eyesight will be better, and I will have the option and the ability to go back to that or to do something else. Really not
Mhm.
sure, but he closed that season.
Mhm.
And like I said, it was a little scary for a couple of days, and thankfully the Lord is gonna keep my disability. But we were hoping that Social Security disability would kick in before that
But it's
happened.
extra slow in Texas, of course,
Yeah, extra
so
slow. It's been a year,
over a year.
over a year.
Yeah.
We still haven't heard.
It's stuck.
It's stuck somewhere, Lord knows where.
Yeah.
The gears of the government move very slowly.
Mhm.
So we just have to trust in the Lord that eventually that'll happen. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And then, yesterday I found out that the pie shop so I was full-time at the pie shop before his stroke, and then, um, now, I'm just very part-time there, so I kinda just fill in as they need somebody. Um, and the owner just sold the pie shop. So, I don't really know what that is gonna mean, but I think it's kind of probably closing my season there. And, and the funny thing is, like, I don't know, because I feel like when you're walking in something, like the Lord has had us moving in a direction and moving away from what we have been in, and both things we were not probably ever going to be like, we're done here, like for various reasons. And, for him, he was in a job that for the first time uh, in a very, very long time, like provided full benefits. And that's pretty huge when you have family and kids and,
I finally had a
so
real adult
yeah,
job.
real adult job
You
where
know.
you could move up and, all that stuff. And so it was not, and he worked for like, what, it took you 2 years to get like a position there. Is that
Yeah, yeah.
mhm,
I
yeah,
think
like
so. Yeah.
he did all his studying, all this stuff to get into that company. Um, like, yeah, it was like a year and a half or 2 years. So that's not something you're just gonna be like, "I'm done,"
Hmm.
and walk away from. And for me at the pie shop, like, I love baking is like my jam. Um, I love it. And, the owner was just like the easiest person to work with and like so accommodating to your schedule. Um, and it was just such an easy job that I really enjoyed. Like, I go in early in the morning, have my headphones on, like, listen to podcasts. I loved it and baked a bunch of pies. Um, and even, the things that weren't necessarily my favorite there, it is an easy enough job and comfortable enough job to where it would take a lot to push me out of there. So, like I was saying, like we've been walking in a direction and feeling like the Lord is leading us away from those. And he has every step been like, okay, you're done. Okay, you're done. And, we don't really know like then like we can only see what's right in front of us at this point. We don't have the full picture. We don't have like, oh,
Mhm, mhm.
we just know this is what happens when you say yes to the Lord. He starts moving and shaking, and it's cool because it's very like confirming to what
Mhm.
is what he's leading you in, but it's also scary as heck
It's
and not the most
yeah,
comfortable
yeah,
thing.
yeah, for
um,
sure.
yeah. So,
Yeah, we're definitely walking by faith, not
mhm,
by sight, 'cause we cannot see what's around the corner. We can't even hardly see the next step
yeah.
of what's coming. But we know that this is what the Lord has called us to do. These things are happening, and He's taken away these things. And I know with Him subtracting, He's going to multiply
Mhm,
as well. And just because He's taken away those things doesn't mean that He's not going to um, add and multiply different things in our lives, and He's going to show us and give us things that we're not expecting, we don't see coming. We definitely did not see this season coming
mhm.
at all. A year ago to be here would be insane. A year before the stroke, to think that that's where we would be insane. It's not something we saw coming at all. Um, but the Lord has been so faithful throughout it. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
It's been bananas. Like, we have not expected that at all. Um, and again, that's a lot of times walking in your purpose and what God wants you to do. It's not always going to be easy. Um, He's not always going to clear and pave that path for you, so it'd be a real easy walk down it. There are going to be difficulties and trials
Hurdles.
and hurdles
Mhm.
and people that may discourage you or just raise that eyebrow or look at you in a certain way that may be discouraging, just by them doing something like that, and not even by them saying something. And so, we want to just encourage you. Like, if you really feel confident and that's what God wants you to do, then walk in that.
Mhm.
Like,
And walk confidently
and
in
walk
it.
confidently in it. And regardless of what people say or do or how they look at you with things that happen in your life, like, be confident and just know and just, trust in God and His promises, and continue to seek Him. And we're like,
Mhm.
every day we're just like,
Yeah.
Lord, is this what you want us to do? If you don't want us to do this, if you want us to pivot, do something else, we're down.
And one of the specific things that we have been praying is for him to open the doors, that he wants us to walk through, and to close the ones that he wants us to be finished with, or that he doesn't want us to go through. And I feel like that's exactly what he
Mhm.
has been doing. Like, you know, um, when you're praying for him to show you his will and to give you that confidence to walk in it, like he totally does. And then the thing, and if you're asking him to close doors, he will.
Yeah.
He will do that too. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so I think that kind of brings us to our little idea that we have. Um, so, as we've been walking this road of YouTube and content creation and all that, there's a million ideas and suggestions and things, videos and whatnot of like things you can be doing, things you should be doing, things you should not be doing, and there's just so much information that's out there. But then there's also, you know, a lot of information that isn't out there. And,
Mm.
and with all the discouraging things and, you know, I guess hard times, like you kind of just want someone who to either like bounce ideas off of or be like, how do I do this? Especially if you're a geriatric content creator like us. There's just a lot of things we don't know how to do and how to get from point A to point B.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah.
um, and there is a lot of people who are like really trying to hustle and make money, which no disrespect to that. But I also don't have $900 to be buying a course every other second. I'm sure a lot of you are in that boat too. So, there's not really like an opportunity for a community unless you're shelling out a lot of money
Mhm.
for it. And we would love to have a community of people that we know are like on our side and, you know, cheering us on. And that, we could like, yeah, bounce ideas off of, get advice from, know that are praying, that we can pray for them.
Yeah, we wanna cheer on,
Oh, totally.
encourage,
Yeah, this isn't
be
just
on
like
their
for us.
side as well, you
Right.
know? Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we're all in it together. We don't know what the heck we're doing in one sense,
Right.
and I know, like Melissa said, we're not the only ones in this boat, there's gonna be other people who are not sure, trepidatious, a little scared,
Mhm.
you know, of what they're doing. And it doesn't even have to be YouTube or social media. It could be,
Just whatever
a
you feel like
variety of different
like
things.
you
Yeah.
feel like the Lord is like wanting you to step out in something, you know, starting a Bible study, starting a church, like I don't know, like whatever it is, um, you're invited. So um so what we want to do or what we were thinking is maybe starting like a Facebook group, no charge, no like anything like that. Like this is a free thing, but it would be private. And if that's something that interests you and you
Mm.
think like, yes, I need that too, please let us know. We're not going to start it until we know that there's like an interest or like a group of people that want to do this. Um, and like we said, it's not like this isn't like us trying to like get people so we can, get free information. Like this is a collaborative thing that we are thinking here. And, obviously like don't be stealing ideas from each other or anything like that. But also like in a space that's creative, like I feel like that's kind of
Yeah.
goes
It's
without saying,
important to
and
share
exactly.
and bounce off ideas
Mhm.
off each other. And what your idea might not work for you, but it might work for
Mhm.
somebody else, and vice versa. So, it's
Yeah.
important to share those things and not be afraid. Again, if we're confident in what the Lord has called this to do, I don't, yeah, stealing ideas or whatever isn't
Yeah.
really a thing,
Right.
you know.
But don't yeah, so all that to say just don't be afraid of that. But um yeah, so if you feel like you are feeling the Lord calling you to something, you're either afraid to step out or you have stepped out and are just coming up a lot with a lot of discouragement, spiritual warfare, et cetera, you would love to have a community of team players, people that are, in your back corner, um, or in your corner,
Mhm.
back or right or left, whatever, all the corners. um, and, to know that you could come, bounce an idea off of, get encouragement, get prayer, be like, this is going on. I need, people to pray for me right now. Like that is yeah, hi, we're your friends. So
Mhm.
just let us know, please, like in the comments. You can message us, email us, whatever. Just get a hold of us and let us know, please. And we would love to fire this up.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to, even if you don't want to be part of that, community, or you don't feel called to that, but if you do need, prayer
Mhm.
and or encouragement, like, we're here for that. Let us know. Hit us up in the messages. It doesn't have to be a public thing. If you need prayer or you need help with something, like, we really do wanna pray and encourage. and help others, whether you're a believer or not. We really want to be here, and help, and we really consider this a ministry, albeit an all unconventional one,
Mhm.
for sure. But that's what we want to do. That's what we really feel like the Lord is called us to do, not just sit up here and blab, um, for all this time, but to really share our story, what the Lord is doing, and that He really wants to use you as well. And he really wants to bless you. So yeah, don't be afraid to hit us up,
Mhm. Please do.
and yeah, please do. And again, like, comment,
Subscribe,
subscribe,
share.
share. We really appreciate it. That really helps us out
Mhm.
again. And thanks for watching. We
Yeah.
love you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.